All right, guys. So now that you have seen that, I have already showed you, walk you through the the actual architecture and everything, right? The architecture and everything. I walked you through that. All right. So now now we have seen the architecture actually, but we want to see how Terraform we're able to deploy this in automatically, right, and provision every single thing that we mentioned here. All right, so we have our pipeline, like I said. So our pipeline is meant to deploy the infrastructure. So right now, I push the code to my repository. All right, I push the code to the GitHub repository. So now if we go down to the GitHub repository, we can literally see that our pipeline was successfully deployed, and then literally all the whole things that we asked to be deployed were all deployed successfully. However, the actual runner, the GitHub runner that we use is actually the GitHub runner that we use, you can see, is a private GitHub runner hosted in AWS, right? Is AWS hosted in AWS. That's the pipeline, the GitHub runner that we use. I'm actually going to be dropping this thing here. You can see that the GitHub runner we have here, look at it here. If you check here, is run as a Docker container. Look at it here, is running as a Docker container, Docker PS, Docker PS. So we can see that this is our GitHub runner, and then let's check the log, Docker logs, GitHub runner. Then we can see that is actually the one helping us to deploy. You can see listening for job, running the job. At this time, it was listening for job. Look at it here. It was listening for job. Then that is what 13 seconds. It was listening for job. Then after 13 seconds, that 48 seconds, it started running the job. And then after this time, a minute and so it now deployed the entire job. Okay, so this is our stuff runner, and you can literally see it here. This is the GitHub runner here, is a virtual machine here in AWS, right? So that's actually where I installed my GitHub runner. And then from the pipeline, if you check here, you can see this is the GitHub runner in question. If you click in it, you can see that is the GitHub runner, is a Linux server, right, running our GitHub runner. So if I go here to check the deployment, I can see that the pipeline was deployed successfully, and it installed all these dependencies that it needs to run, and then it's now finally deployed all the resources. And again, for our backends, all right, for our backend, we are actually using S3 bucket for our backend storage. That is to store our Terraform state, right? So Terraform states are stored with AWS S3 bucket. And the AWS S3 bucket, this is our AWS S3 bucket, and inside it we have this particular bucket, and this is the Terraform state, right, stored in here actually. Now from the architecture, generally from architecture we can see that the infrastructure have been deployed. Now let us take a look at the infrastructure that have been deployed so far. From the AWS side, let us go straight to the VPN connection and then watch the two tunnels that have been deployed for us. So this is the name of the VPN the VPC I created from the AWS point of view. And then from Azure part, I'm going to be opening a resource group. This is the resource group I'm going to be opening. Inside the resource group, these are all the repositories, all the stuff that have been provisions. And here is our VPC. Where is our VPC? Here is the VPC. Yes, we have our VPC here. This is our VPC called deployment internal network. And then we have the VPN gateway. I'm going to be opening the VPN gateway right now. All right, so this is the VPN gateway here, and if you check here, you can see we have a connection. So I'll try to open the connection. If you open the two connection, you can see that we have two tunnels here, right? So this is a tunnel 1, while this one is a tunnel 2, right? Okay, let me increase this thing. So this is the tunnel 1, why this is the tunnel 2. And then from the AWS part, then we can come down to let's go down to, this is, let me refresh this stuff. I'm refreshing this. So this is my VPC I mean. Now if I come down here, I'll go to the customer gateway. Customer gateway, if I click on it, you can see that we have the active customer gateway. And then if I come down to virtual private gateway, and the virtual private gateway have been deployed, which is this one. And then site-to-site VPN connection, site-to-site VPN connections, look at the actual one. Right, so if I check on tunnel, you can see that the two tunnels are literally up. The two tunnels are all up, and this is the job of our Terraform script. Then if you come here and check for our database, there's a MySQL database. We can literally see it from here. Let me open it in that tab. So you can see that our database is also up. I'll log in with my username. We can see that our database is also running up actually. And then as that is opening, okay, this is our database right now. Look at it here. All right, so this is our database, and our database is actually running. Now on the database we have a private endpoint, right? We have a private endpoint. So if you go to the networking section, under the network section, we can see that we have a private endpoint. So this is the private endpoint on which the IP address is going to be provided. We have a private IP address on this private endpoint network interface. So if you click on it, we'll see a private IP address, that was made available. Look at it here. This is the private IP address which the containers that is going to be running on the EC2 instance on the EKS. Let's open the EKS. So under the EKS right now, so this is our EKS, and inside our EKS we have two worker nodes already. So let's open the EKS. So inside the EKS we have the compute. Under the compute we have the node groups, right? Two node groups here. Look at them here. So this, any container that is being deployed here, right? Any container that is being deployed inside this stuff have to use the private IP address of this to connect to the database actually, right? So that is actually how that have been done. Right. So looking at it now, we can see that from the VPN point of view, you can see that's my happiness here is that our VPN is up and running from the AWS point of view, and also from the Azure point of view, right? So these things are all up, and that is with the help of our what? With the help of Terraform script that made everything sweet. Made everything sweet. It actually took some time to complete the deployment. You can see it took us 90 minutes, and 90 minutes to deploy the entire solution. All right, it took us like 90 minutes to deploy the entire solution.